G. Rittenhouse is Vice President of Bell Labs Research, overseeing all Alcatel-Lucent's research in physics, computer science, mathematics, optics, access, networking and applications. He's also chairman of the board of Green Touch, a non-profit research consortium focused on reductions in network energy requirements. G holds a degree in physics from the University of California in Los Angeles and a PhD in electrical engineering and computer science from MIT. Today, you're talking about speed in this area. What points will you be making?
So we've seen a tremendous amount of innovation in our industry, and in all of the areas you've outlined inside of Bell Labs, as well as broadly across the ecosystem. But what we also see that's really transforming our industry as well is the speed of innovation, the way things come to market. It used to be that you'd work inside the labs, 2 years, 3 years, polish something, invent something, then bring it to market, test it in a lab, test it in the service provider's network, make sure everything works, and then eventually 5 or 6 years later, something comes out at the end. Now you can develop an application in a device store or whatnot in a matter of days. Now you can, even inside the labs, bring together and co-develop technology, whether it's product or services, with partners and actual end consumers. And so the fundamental way we do innovation has changed. It's still based on knowledge, exploration and whatnot, but when it hits the innovation stage, transforming that invention into value, that process has fundamentally changed, and it's accelerated the ability to bring things to market much faster.
And what are the implications of that?
Well, take for example Green Touch, of which I am chairman. Green Touch was a calculation 1 year ago, and the calculation showed, based on fundamental physics and quantum mechanics and all of these things, that networks can fundamentally, the absolute limit of energy consumption can fundamentally be 1,000,000 times more efficient than networks today. That's a remarkable result. And if that result resided inside of Bell Labs, and we would struggle to make those improvements and efficiency gains and whatnot, it would take a very long time for the realization of that calculation to actually hit the marketplace. So instead, what Bell Labs did is publish the result for everyone to see, and then invite people together to come and actually solve it together as an industry. And so as of today, 1 year later, we have over 46 members of Green Touch working on this very, very difficult problem, with the goal of achieving, building all and demonstrating all the necessary technologies within 5 years. We are going from the calculation into demonstratable technologies within 5 years. And this is a remarkable acceleration, because before, when you take a look at normal technology evolution, particularly in the area of energy, you think of it on the scale of decades.
Yeah. So what factors are driving technical innovations in this industry?
So the fundamental driver is this disassociation from the services with the network. So in the past, the network itself was the application. In the extreme example, it's voice. But then as other technologies came on board, it was heavily integrated into the network as a service. And that, of course, has its own time scale associated with it. But now we start to think about the network as a platform, which then holds services and applications. And in many of these cases, those services and applications, primarily the first generations, are now the platforms for the second generation of applications that sit on top of it. So as you move from this very vertical kind of oriented industry to now a very horizontal oriented industry, innovation happens at a much different pace. Now, one of the fundamental issues that we find in that is that as we start to get the segmentation, there are different values and value propositions associated with each segment. And therefore, different levels of investment are necessary for each segment. So as Bell Labs being very comprehensive, going from applications all the way down to quantum mechanics, we have to bridge that gap as well and allow people to provide and extract value from each of these levels.
Interesting. What other innovations need to happen beyond technology?
So beyond technology is really a social play. So take, for example, machine to machine. Machine to machine has been available to people for well over a decade. And it's, complex, and miniaturization certainly helps. But users haven't really fully embraced sensors around the home, around your body for healthcare and whatnot, because the value of that is not entirely clear. However, as that becomes clear, as people now adopt it and others see it, and then have the ability to recognize, wow, that's pretty interesting. I'd like my car to do the same thing. I'd like my house to do the same thing. I'd like my medical care provided in the same way. Then all of a sudden other people get to it and it starts to become more socially acceptable. So for example, you can now say for almost anything, there's an app for that. And so if you want to lose weight as a sensor monitoring how much you walk, how much you do, there's an app for that. And so now, instead of sitting there saying, well, I don't want a sensor on me and kind of monitoring me, we actually, in fact, do have sensors on us. They're called cell phones or smartphones or whatnot. And being able to really extract that value, have people recognize it, will start to take off. The same thing can be said about video. We've had video phones and whatnot since the 60s and the World Fairs, and you can actually do it today through various technologies, but people still don't use it as the primary source. We still come together at a function like this in person instead of doing it remotely. And there's a variety of reasons. It's complex, the social issues surrounding it. People still like to feel connected with one another. So in Bell Laboratories, we're working on technologies, video technologies, that really make it feel like we're together, even though we may be a continent apart. So I think, really the social aspect of it is playing a much more important role beyond just the technology elements.
G. Rittenhouse, thank you very much.